Yes, I got to see most of you last year. So since that time that we presented the 2022 budget or the 2023 budget to you last year, yes, we are doing really very well, keeping within the constraints of that budget. So we have had a few major things that we have done this year, and one of them being that Norton Public along with Norton Public, we were endowed some funds back in 2015. And it was in the will that we do a joint project together. That money had been in a memorial fund with us since that time, and nothing had happened. There was no project that was happening. So the board, we spoke with the board and wanted to find out what they felt like was the best thing to do. And the board agreed that they felt like, because the Norton Public Library serves Norton, the county, we, are not serving the public. We serve the libraries. So it was very difficult for us to try to say what project we thought we could do in conjunction with them, because in all intensive purposes, if we were going to do a project, that project would have to be something that benefited every county that's paying us taxes. So we felt like the best thing to do was to let that go to Norton. So we went ahead and turned over to them any interest that was that we gained on that account. And so they're going to go ahead and do a project that would be in line with the woman's will. So we just felt like that was something, I think that in the future, if anything like that ever happened, I would just say to them that, I don't think it should include us, because we're not that entity. We're not, we're not going to do a project or do some building or do any of that kind of thing. So I think that, I appreciate the fact that she wanted to include us in her will with that, but I felt like, it was long overdue that we do something so that that money, that family knew that that money was going to be used to benefit the Norton community. So that was one of the major things that one of the major things that happened. Financially, we are well under budget at this point. I think that when we met with the Lloyd Group to work on our 2024 budget, they looked over all of our numbers, but we also let them know that a lot of our expenses come out towards the end of the year. No more money coming in and money going out. So we get a lot of the county disbursements, early on, and then towards the end of the year, we have a lot of expenses. So, but yeah, we've stayed right on par. As you can see up here, we do have a few new faces. Dane is going to take over for Dave as our technology consultant. So we did bring him on board a little bit early because we had one of our staff members leave. So I felt like, oh, okay, sounds good. So I felt like that was going to be a very good idea. It's like feedback. I don't know what to do. Freaking me out. But we just felt that it was the best use of our funds to make sure that Dane could work right along with Dave, because that is a lot of information Dave has stored up in that brain. So we wanted to make sure we gave Dane, a long opportunity to work with him. So he started in May. Sierra is right here beside me, and so she came on board as well. So I feel like, we stayed within the budget for our staff, but we did change some staff, so that was important. I can't think of anything else major. We pretty much continue to do all of our grants for our libraries. We have stayed within all of that budgeted. So I can't think of anything else that was too far out, or that we had any major things happen. So that's pretty much that report. I don't know how Cindy's going to do hers. God bless her. It's going to be interesting. Do we have any way to do we have any way? Yeah. Is there any way that Cindy can speak? Okay. We can hold the mic up to this. Yep. Right here. Okay.
So can you hear me? Can you hear that?
We can hear you kind of, so.
Okay. Maybe?
Yes. Okay. I can, okay,
People can hear? People can hear that?
yes.
Okay, success, success. All right, so since I'm on Zoom, and I apologize for that, but I had preschoolers until late, so I couldn't drive over there. But since we're doing a little differently, Mary, if we have any motions, I'll probably have to have you recognize the people because I can't see anybody.
Okay,
So I believe we are ready. Are we ready for number 5, executive committee report that I was supposed to do? Okay.
yes,
All right. So I was just going to highlight a few things that that we have given permission for, or that we've done this year. And Mary, feel free to jump in and clarify if need be.
okay,
So some of the things that we have decided as an entity, one of the ones that helped probably the most, we went with Scott Lloyd to help with our budgeting. One of the goals was to create enough money for rainy day fund, basically. And so this company, this entity works with other library systems, correct?
correct.
And so we decided that we could use that help in creating our budgets. So this was not just the executive committee that made this budget. We had help with professionals to do that. Mary mentioned that we have hired a couple of new people, so I don't really need to go over that again, but we have Sierra and Dane on board now because I believe she mentioned that Dave was going to be retiring. So
we're not really going to let him.
Yeah,
He
he'll
just
probably have
thinks
to
he
come
is.
back. He'll probably have to come
We'll
back.
let him believe it. But
some of the changes for us with the way that we may be doing business in the future was with our courier grant. And so I don't know if you wanted me to speak about that, Mary, but maybe
Sure.
just some changes. In the past, we have basically paid for courier service, and the rates keep going up and up and up. And so what we decided, I believe for the next year, we will do similar to what we did. You basically backed off from 5-day-a-week delivery to 3-day-a-week delivery to remain within the budget amount. But for future years, we will provide it more as a grant up to a certain amount, and then libraries will have to decide what exactly they want. You know, it's kind of like we forced the courier on them. Some of our libraries may not actually want to have the courier. So rather than have us, or use the courier. So rather than have us pay for everybody to have the courier, we need some more input from our member libraries to do that. Let's see. I think you talked about some of that. Let me flip over this. One of the tasks that we did this year was going through policy. So we did update personnel policy, made quite a few changes to leave, and just some basic wording of things. You know, for example, our buildings are non-smoke, you know, you can't smoke in our buildings, but because of the day and age we live in, we also added vaping and some things like that. So we did update the personnel policy, and we'll kind of be going through some of those other policies as well. We also updated all of the job descriptions for all of the positions. And our staff helped with new library director in Grinnell. So they went over and provided her a lot of help getting started and planning for new furniture and such. Our staff does what I consider kind of the day-to-day business, but just so you know, they go out to the communities, they provide story walks, rotation, things like that. One big change this year, and I didn't know if you had spoken about it, we did have one library who wished to leave, who was basically shutting down, Norcator, the Norcator Library. And just so you know, in order to actually leave the library system, there is a process that we legally have to go through. So even if your library would shut down and you didn't even have your doors open, you couldn't necessarily just leave the library system. So we had to go through that process with Norcator, with their city council, with their mayor, to finalize that. And then it actually had to be voted on at the state level at the state library. So just FYI for everyone else, but those were some of, and Mary already spoke about the June Prout Memorial Fund. So that was another thing that I had highlighted for this year of some of the business that we took care of. Mary, I don't know if there was anything else that you felt like needed to be highlighted.
No, I think that covers all of it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I have no idea if anyone has questions, but this is an easy way to do it because I can't see anyone. No one has questions. So we will move on.
Okay.
Now, did you already give your director's report?
No,
We kind
I
of
have
skipped.
not.
Okay.
Okay, we'll try this again. I think I can just talk. Can everyone hear me, or do I have to? Can everyone hear me now? Okay. Yes, the director's report. Thank you all for being so very patient with me this year. So I have made it through a year. So I'm very excited about that. It was challenging. I'll say it's a very different, and I wasn't sure I could do it, but I have the support of these wonderful people right here. So I'm going to take this opportunity to introduce, I think I can do that now, right? Yes, I can introduce everybody. Okay, we're going to start back here with, other than myself, the person that's been with our system the longest, Dave Fisher. So yeah, thank you. We deserve that. Yes. The next person that's been with us the second longest, third, is Heather Frew, and she's doing all of the ILL. She does all of the courier. She does the talk books. Pretty much does anything, everybody here does everything that we need, people to do. Over here on my right is Erin Davis, and she took on a huge job as the new she did the business administration for us. So she has learned so much in a year as well. And I could not do my job without her. So she is invaluable, and just so happy to have her here. And our newest members we have Dane Simoneau back here, and he is working with Dave. He will be our new technology consultant. I think they're maybe renaming it, so they'll let us know. But he'll start on, I guess, January 26th, because Dave says his last day is the 25th. So yeah, like I said, you're not really going anywhere, but you can keep saying to everybody you're retiring. Sounds good. So and then over here on my left is our new regional consultant. And I'm going to tell you, this is pretty funny because I told Sierra it's very hard because I was still doing both jobs. And I'm like, I did this job for 13 years, like as the children's. And I was like, well, it's very hard to give up things. But she walked through that door and I was like, oh, this is okay. And I said, that is like the biggest testament I can give to her about how I feel about her, is that I can everything. I'm like, no, you just go ahead and do it. No, you just go ahead and do it. She's like, okay. I was like, if you've got any questions, ask me. But yes, this is Sierra Percival, and she comes to us with a lot of background experience in HR. So we're picking her brain about all of the policies that, Cindy just mentioned. So we updated our service policy, updated our personnel policy, because we were really behind in a lot of things. I mean, we had one of our next gen interns this year. He was wonderful, Brexton Eiserhagen, and he worked on an emergency plan. Because we had them, it was in SharePoint, but none of us knew, where do we go if there's a tornado? Where do we go if there's a fire? So, I mean, there are things that you kind of put on the back burner. And I think it's funny because I'm sure we've said over the years, make sure you guys have all those. And then we didn't have them. So I'm like, we have to kind of make sure we clean up our own house, and then we can help everybody else to do theirs. I think that really over the course of this year, that's been most of what we've done, is that we've worked together. And I think that's been a wonderful thing, is that we had to learn all of these things that we didn't know. So we had to work very closely. It would be like, okay, we need to find this document. Everybody start looking, and you know what I mean? So like with the June Prout, for instance, we, had to dig through, all of these deposits to find out exactly when was that endowed? When did that go into the CD? When did this happen? So there's been a lot of work, and I can say that these people up here, your board that you guys have helped us to get, have been wonderful as well. They have worked. We have long meetings. I am off the hook very easily. I'm always like, it's going to be about an hour for that meeting, but they have been wonderful as well, because we couldn't do any of what we're doing without them too, and all of you. So I was kind of saying at the meeting, I was talking to Bob Talbot back there earlier today, and I think it's funny because we are going back to doing our newsletters and all of that, because I want all of you as our full board to know a lot more about what's going on. It shouldn't just be once a year that you're like, oh, how's everything been for the year? So, I think that those of you that are actually in the libraries, you'll know, but then I feel like some of our representatives don't know anything that we're doing. So we're going to bring back our newsletter, so that will go out to everyone. Because most of all, like Bob and I were talking, I think it's important that if you're a board, that it's a functioning board, that, that you do know what's going on. You can then make better choices or help us to know what we can do to improve our services, because that's what we're here for, is to serve. We serve the libraries, and we want to make sure we do that to the utmost that we can. So I think that's pretty much it. Okay, Cindy, it's yours.
All right. So the next item on the agenda is old business. Do we have any old business, Mary?
I don't believe so.
All right, we'll move on to new business. We are going to present the system plan and approve our system plan. Mary, did you want to take over that?
Sure. It's on. Yep, it's up on the big screen. Everyone. Oh, where's the feedback? Yep, I'll hold that. Sorry. Yeah, I think that was included in all of your packets. You could see that I did present this before the board, the State Library Board, on June 9th, and it was approved by their board chair and the state librarian. We did, like I said, try really hard to make it so that it's very precise. Sometimes plans are created where you have lofty ideas. Well, we would love to do this and we would love to do that. And I think that our staff felt like, and the board felt like this year, that we wanted to be much more concrete. Like, these are obtainable goals. Analyze the rotation service. We did that. People were not happy. So we had lots of our libraries going, where are the books? You can't not bring us books. So we now increased our budget for the books again. So now you can have 9 or 10 boxes. You can have what you want. So we need to do what our libraries are asking us to do. So those are the key goals that we set, were just to do that. Hoopla and Sunflower. I listen to an audiobook every day. So I do not want Hoopla to go anywhere. And I don't want Sunflower to go anywhere either. So we kind of are just trying to listen. So all of the goals that we set were things that people told us they wanted. The training, the State Library Board helped us out, because we had been asked by several libraries to do some kind of training where there are people that come into the library that they have, I don't want to nicely to say this, like problems or issues that really aren't a librarian's job. But then you also need to know, how can I help them? How can I direct them? What can I do? Because again, you want to help the whole community, but then you can't do that at the expense of your staff. Your staff can't be put in some precarious situation where it's dangerous or whatever. So the state library had already gone ahead and contracted. We had it as a goal, and then the contract came through and they were like, we're going to offer this Ryan Dowd. I was like, yeah, we were going to do the same thing. So that's wonderful. They're going to offer it for a year, but I feel like if it's successful, that we would continue to do it, because I think even so far we've seen the after lunch courses, the trustee training. So these are the most important things, were just the goals. And I think that like I said, everyone's had an opportunity to look it over. I'll just entertain any questions about it before we approve it. If there was anything that you saw in it that you had a question about or didn't understand.
All right, if there are no questions for Mary, is there a motion to approve the system plan?
Oh, Katie Schmidt is going to, yep,
Okay.
she,
All
sorry.
right. Katie moves. Is there a second?
And who was that? Nancy, thank you, Walraven, yep.
All right. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? I'm going to assume there was no one, and the motion, I assume, passed. Did it, Mary?
I did, sorry.
Okay, all right, okay, okay.
There were no
I can't
notes.
see it. I can't see anything.
I'm
Okay,
sorry, I'm just
no,
trying to
that's
stay
okay.
quiet.
That's okay. So we need to have a, do we need to have a motion to open the revenue neutral rate hearing? Probably.
Yes, yes, we
Okay.
do, yep.
So we need a motion to open the revenue neutral rate hearing. Did anyone move?
Steve Johnson,
Steve
Oakley, so
Johnson,
moved.
thank you. Is there a second?
Desiree Churchwell is the
All
second.
right, all in favor say aye.
The ayes have it.
Ayes have it. All right, so the revenue neutral rate hearing is beginning at 4:32. And will you present?
Yep, and I'll go ahead and do that, if that's okay. Sorry, there we go. We'll get this figured out. This year I went ahead, I know last year I told everyone that I don't think I had ever completely understood the budget, I'll be honest. So I went through it like line item by line item. So this year I went ahead and included that for you so that you could see everything. So every line item was included there with the 2024 budget commentary. So I won't go through all of it unless there was a question, but very important what was shared with us by the Lloyd group, and Cindy spoke about that we felt like it was important. I'm not a certified public accountant. So to say that, for all of these years, the director has done the budget, that was a big job to do without, I don't know like all of those things. So we felt like it was important that someone look it over. We have someone yearly, Mapes and Miller, that does our audit, which we felt was very important. So a different CPA is doing the budget. So they went over everything with Aaron and I. We worked very long and hard with them to make sure that they saw every line item, that it all made sense. And the biggest thing that they said to us was that, what do you have for capital improvement? We're like, don't think we have anything. So that was a biggie, because I think years ago, because it's kind of changed, that the regional library systems were put in kind of a different category. So they felt like they didn't well, should we have a capital improvement fund? By statute, are we allowed to do that? But what Scott Lloyd told us is that, he works strictly with municipalities, and he's the only CPA in Kansas that does so. So we felt very lucky to have gotten him, and we got a referral from Paul at South Central Kansas Library System. They've used him for years. And so what he said is that, well, you want to have a capital improvement because you are the only source of revenue that we get is from the county disbursements. If something happens like in 2020, what if, something got shut down? What if the community, the counties didn't have the revenue? What would you have? And I was like, we'd have to close our doors. We wouldn't, you know what I mean? If we closed our doors, our small libraries would have to close their doors. So Scott said, you have to be proactive. You have to think of it. And he was like, well, you can, just build that up. I'm like, oh, can we go slowly? Because we don't want to do all of that in 1 year. He's like, well, you can increase. I'm like, I don't mind increasing the mill levy, but I don't want to get crazy either. So there was a 3-year plan so that we will just increase it. If we have any money, like we said, we're doing very well with this year's budget. If we stay on par with that, then next year we may not have to raise it at all. But we just have to have a plan that puts Northwest Kansas as a business, because ultimately that's what we are. We're a business. So we have to look at it like, even as just a regular person, my husband and I try to make sure we have 3 months worth of savings to pay our bills, to do, you know what I mean? It's very difficult to live paycheck to paycheck. And that's what Northwest was doing. If we had no wiggle room, you can look at the budget commentary from last year, and then this year we're only going, okay, we have a little $400 cushion. So we're not giving ourselves a huge one, but a little, so that we can say, hey, you know, if the prices, you can see when you go to the store, prices are increasing every day. I keep saying inflation is coming down, but last year, the inflation rate, I analyzed it the entire year, it went from 5 to 9, back down to 7, up to, 8, back down again. When all of that happens, it affects every business, it affects every person, it affects every taxpayer. So that was, a big part of making sure that this budget covered us, but that we didn't go outside of the realm too much, because we don't want to be a burden. We just want to provide the services. And you could see also in this year's all of our budget that we increased the amount of grants, because that's very important to us, that the money goes directly to the communities and to the libraries. It's not like, overhead or anything else for us. It's that it's direct services, and those are the digital services. That's why we're the only regional that's covering that completely. There is no other regional system covering Sunflower and Hoopla completely. The libraries are on their own to do that. So those are huge things that we're doing, because we're finding that most of our libraries, if we do the statistics, it's amounting to almost half. The digital, content is half of the circulation at a lot of the libraries right now. So I can go through anything. I know that we got all of this to you. It's probably easier, like I said, to ask any questions, because I can go over all of it, but I don't know that anything, I think it's easier if you have questions of something you didn't understand. I'm going to scroll down to where it is. Sorry. Got to go through everything. Okay, so let me see if I can. Oh, sorry, I'm going ahead. I'm so sorry. Okay, so this is just because we're going to increase. All right, so yeah, I think this one we just have to get them. Okay, so we just have to have a motion that we will. Okay, I'm going to give it back to. Yes, yeah, I'll let Cindy do this part of it then. I did need to explain why we're going over, so that I think that's okay. We're okay.
Okay, so we need a motion to exceed the revenue neutral rate. So is there a motion?
Marcia Rogers, so moved.
All right, is there a second?
Darla Dees, seconds.
All in favor say aye.
All said aye.
Okay, opposed.
I can say opposed.
Anyone
We'll see if there's
opposed?
anyone that's opposed. No opposed.
All right, motion carries. So we now need, I believe we actually need a motion to come out of the revenue neutral rate
Correct.
meeting hearing.
Correct.
So is there a motion to leave the hearing?
Connie Chambers, so moves.
Is there a second?
We have Kathy Fullwider, a second.
All in favor say aye.
We have ayes.
All right. And opposed? In that case, we are closing the revenue neutral hearing at 4:39. So my agenda that I have in front of me is not the same as yours. So now are we ready for the budget hearing?
Yes. Sorry.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
So we now need a motion to enter the budget hearing.
I saw Nancy's hand, and then I saw Judy. Judy Rogers, so moves. Nancy,
All right, is there a
Nancy
second?
Sadler will second.
All in favor say aye. All
All
opposed?
said aye.
All opposed? All right, we will enter the budget hearing meeting at 4:40. And now, Mary, you may talk about the budget.
Okay, so sorry. We talked about quite a bit of it already. I'll get this down. This was my first one of this too. So, okay. feel like I said, it's probably easier to ask questions if you had anything about it, because like I said, I did put in the budget commentary where I went line item by line item. That did include everything. In your packet, you saw the courier because like Cindy mentioned, that is huge because those prices just keep coming or just keep going up. We did do a survey of our libraries and they very much wanted to stay on the courier. And most of them said they wanted to stay exactly as it is, which is fine by us because last year was the first year where every library did have to buy in a bit. They had to pay a portion of it, and then we covered the rest of it. And like I said, with the rotation, if that's what our libraries want, we will do that. I just felt like, and I brought to the board that it was something that we encouraged, but with the cost, to keep going up, I was like, well, is that where they want to spend the money? Like, would they prefer if I just, we just gave them a grant for $1,600, $1,300, whatever it might be? You could see in your packet that I tried to formulate something that made sense because I don't really know what the numbers were based on previous because last year was the first year that we ever had to even ask our libraries to give a portion of it because it was so much. So this coming year for 2024, I just said our largest ones will give the 70% or the 50 or the 65. So there's more of a criteria because those that are the larger ones could put in a little bit more. And then our smaller ones, they need our help. That's just the way that it works. I don't want them to not have the services or their communities to not have the services. We have more family that is coming on to the courier now because Chris has worked really hard to get that little library back and thriving. So, we don't want another situation like North Cater where we have to lose any small libraries at all. So that's something we never want to see happen again, hopefully. But yeah, I am happy to take any questions. We do have public comment, board comment, any comments, Nancy? Okay. Yep.
So
Right.
Mary, I might have you.
There are so many really wonderful comments that came out of that survey, things that I wouldn't necessarily think about. Well, our post office is only open so many hours a day. How am I going to do that? I'm going to then need to buy all of the supplies to, to get books to a certain library. And I'm like, very well stated. I mean, that is why we did it. I brought the question up, and I think that some people are like, well, what's she going to do? I'm like, I wasn't going to do anything. I just wanted to be sure that I feel like the one thing that we never want to do is that we may hear things or we may see things that go on at other regional systems. We're not other regional systems. We're Northwest. Northwest, things are different. I mean, I've only lived here 13 years and I know that things are different. So if I know it, you know it. I mean, it's just that that's what most matters to me is that we serve our community and that it may be very different and look very different to some other regional system. And they'd be like, why are you doing that? We've already been asked, why are you doing hoopla? Why are you doing that? I'm like, because our people want it. So no questions. There's nothing more to say about it. If that's what they want, that's, that's what our job is that we're behind the scenes. And, you can see our new logo. You could probably see it in the packet. Dane came up with the new logo for us. It looks wonderful. But again, it's not about promoting us. It's about promoting you and the services that you're providing. We're behind you, whatever you need. And that's what we most want you to know. So our budget reflects that too, because that's where the money is going directly back to you. Thank you, Nancy. That's a really good comment. That's why we try to divide that system where the smallest ones are getting the most because yeah, they need it. Was there any other questions about the budget or anything? I kind of tried to include in there so that you could see the capital improvement and what was like the 168 was what we hope because that would be 3 months worth of our budget. But obviously we can't do that in 1 year, but I kind of included that in there. So where did that go? This is fun scrolling. I'm so sorry. We're doing our best to try to scroll through here, but it did try to reflect so that you could see where is it? There There it is. Okay. So yeah, you could see up there that the 168 was what we hope, because that would cover. And he, when the Lloyd group worked with us, he was like, payroll expenses, it should be 30%, operating expenses, all of those things. So we tried to do that. And we know that the one thing that we're going to need at some point is a new vehicle. Well, we have no money set aside for a new vehicle. So we just needed to start somewhere, which is why we're even above this year. And I don't know. I mean, everybody knows their own county, but Norton County, we have 7 or 8 other municipalities that needed to go up as well, because the valuations dropped. So we lost $11,000 before we even started doing a budget. So we went in as a deficit before even starting. So there would have been no way we couldn't have gone over this year, even if we tried really hard and scrimped and scraped and tried our very best. But yeah, is there any other questions about anything that was in the packet or that you saw or that you can think of? We want to make sure everybody has an opportunity. Okay.
If not,
I'll give it back to you, Cindy.
Okay. If there are no other questions, is there a motion to approve the budget?
That will be the vote.
Ashley? Is Ashley Pollock
We had all yes. There was no one that
made the motion? Is there a second? We're ready for a second. Is there a second?
Bob Talbot seconds.
Bob Talbot. All in favor, say aye. All opposed?
There's no nays.
Okay. Then we do need a motion to leave the budget hearing. Is there a motion to end the budget hearing?
Desiree, so moved.
Did you say Desiree?
She did, yes.
Okay. Is there a second?
Katie. Oh, sorry, Katie Schmidt.
All
Seconded.
in favor? All opposed? I'm going to assume that the
Nope,
ayes
no
had
one.
it.
The
Okay.
ayes have it.
All right. So the budget hearing ended at 4:48. And I might have you scroll up to your agenda since mine is different.
Yeah, it's not as easy to do as it sounds like.
I know.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it doesn't like to scroll. It doesn't like to do. Once it's inside Zoom, it doesn't like. I'm trying. Sorry. Put this down someday. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Oh, we did make some changes to the bylaws. I believe Mary highlighted those in your packet.
I did.
Mary, do you just want to say what it was?
Yep, I can state what they are. Yep,
I will-
absolutely.
I'm flipping
There
through
were
my
2
packet.
places, one of them saying that we would hold this hearing in August, which we actually have between August 20th and September 20th. So we didn't want to limit ourselves by saying, because we don't know, you try to get everything ready with working with the Lloyd group. We have to wait on the auditors to get us their audit and all of that. So we didn't want to like pigeonhole ourselves into like, oh, it has to always be August. If we do not exceed the revenue neutral rate, then we can have that our budget hearing and all of that prior to August 20th. So that always worked out fine, but we needed to put in there to give ourselves that window. So the window is from August 20th to September 20th. So that was the only change we wanted to make in that portion. And the other portion was that we were not consistent in the way that our bylaws read. It says that a representative or alternate can be at this meeting, but then below it with an asterisk, it says no proxy voting. I'm like, well, you can't say you can have a representative or an alternate, but then say no proxy voting. So the board, I presented that to the board and they made a motion to approve that we just took out the alternate. We only ask our representatives to come once a year. And so we felt like that was the most important thing. We are going to reach out to every community. We always do in November. So if there are any changes that need to be made, because we've already heard about a couple of them today, those will take place in November. We'll send out new the representative forms to everyone. But if you ever know that someone's left or they're no longer there, please reach out to us, because we don't always know that until we meet and then the person doesn't come. So we don't know about it. But those were the only two changes to the bylaws.
All right. So is there a motion to approve the bylaws?
Okay, Marcia. Yep. Lochner.
Is there a second?
Yeah, we have Nancy Walraven seconds.
All right. All in favor say aye.
We have ayes.
All opposed?
No nays.
Okay, the motion passes to approve, to change the bylaws. And now, Mary, if you would like to present the 2024 board officers.
Yes,
And we will have to vote on them and approve them.
But I'm just going to go ahead and say them while I'm scrolling. Our new chairwoman will be Karen Gillihan. That's what the nomination committee has nominated for you to approve today. So Karen was nominated for that. Marcia was, oh no, Tara. Tara was nominated for first vice chair. Thank you, Karen. She's so wonderful. It's a paper in front of you all. Sorry. We did do that. Okay, so, and then we have second vice chairwoman was Marsha Lochner. Then we had secretary Shaylee Kruger and our treasurer Ashley Smith-Avon.
So we need a motion to approve the new officers.
Nancy Sadler moves.
Is there a second?
Darla Deed seconds.
All in favor say aye.
All said aye.
All opposed?
No nays.
Woohoo! Okay. I should turn it over to the new chairperson.
Not until January.
Oh, okay.
Nice try.
All right. So next it says
no way.
Announcements. So if anyone has announcements, and Mary, if someone does, you might actually repeat them so I can hear them as well.
Sure. Yeah. Can ask. Was there anyone that wanted to share some wonderful things that are going on at your library or projects, or like I said, this once a year meeting is nice to know what everybody else is doing, because we might know, but then, other libraries might not know about it. Steve Johnson, wonderful. Thank you, Steve. That is wonderful. That is fantastic.
I did not hear
Steve
that.
just shared that Oakley Public is sharing 100 years of stories. So that was quite an announcement.
Anyone else?
Yep, we have Bob Talbot. Oh, absolutely. For the new board? Yes, absolutely. Would the new board people stand up as I read the name? Board chairwoman will be Karen Gillihan. Our first vice chairwoman will be Tara Schrar. Our second vice chairwoman is Marsha Lochner. Secretary is Shaylee Kruger. And our treasurer is Ashley. She's the second box up here on Zoom. So she's a school teacher, right, in Norton. So yep, she was a school teacher. Now she's a librarian. So she's doing a wonderful job. She kind of still teaches in that library though. So.
Are there any other announcements?
Oh my goodness. Quinter Elementary is building a new library. So that is a wonderful one. So yay, congratulations. That is very big news. Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah.
Anything else?
Yes, Nancy Sadler. Oh, my word. Nancy Sadler's granddaughter was just hired at Pioneer Memorial. Good job. Yay. So new generation. That is wonderful. Thank you for sharing.
Anyone else?
Marcia, yep.
Okay.
Thank you, Marcia. No, I think that's. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Marcia just mentioned that, it would take all of us to kind of help in doing like the reestablishment of a library with that, with your. Yeah, yeah, like, like that. Or just other. Oh, thank you. Yes, Atwood. Yes, we do want to remember. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, the situation in Atwood with the school. And I know that they probably have turned to you to try to. Oh, wonderful. Yeah, Grace just shared that they're going to collaborate with the elementary. Is it and the high school? Just the high school. Okay, just that. Grace was just sharing the situation in Atwood and that she is collaborating with the high school so that they can have library services and things. And another question was whether, what was the need? But right now, I mean, we'll be there to help too, whatever might be needed. So they're kind of in just a hovering sort of position right now, not quite sure what's going to happen.
Any other announcements?
Oh, yes. Karen did bring some big books down here, so they reached out to you. The people reached out to Karen that wanted those, so those are at the end of the table down here. I know I saw Pioneer Memorial had some for Judy, and then, yep, go ahead, Steve, and say who those people are. Chris Kleinsorg, yep. Okay. Oh, and Karen said she still has some big books.
All right. Anyone else?
I don't hear anything.
Okay. If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
No one wants to leave. They just want to stay here.
Okay.
Sandy Wilk so moves.
All right. Is there a second?
Thank you, Katie. Katie Schmidt will second.
All in favor, say aye.
I think the ayes have it. That was a lot of ayes.
All opposed. All opposed have to stay and clean up.
No, now they get to eat. Poor thing.
Oh, that's right. Well, enjoy your meal, everyone. Sorry I couldn't be there.
Thank you, Cindy. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Ashley. Thank you, Sharon, for joining via Zoom.